welcome to the Golden Hour and the Manifest to Live Life Golden podcast. Today, we are going to combine the two because this message needs to be heard by all. We're talking about freedom today, freedom from negativity, freedom from the ways that you are imprisoning yourself in your very own life. I have lots of tips. I have lots of tricks, and I'm really excited to share the things that have made me feel free in my life and the realizations that over time I'm starting to get from the way that I imprison myself. So I'm really imploring you today to listen closely, to take some notes, and to really take these tips to heart. Because the truth is, the less free you feel, the less free you will be. And the more you keep yourself in thought patterns that keep you feeling imprisoned, the more your life is going to give you evidence of that imprisonment. And you're not creating your own reality when you're feeling obligated and you're doing things that are not making you feel free, and you're thinking things that are keeping the dramas alive and the worries and the past and all the things that you need to let go. So we're going to go through it today. I'm going to share this on the Golden Hour show and on the podcast, because I feel strongly that we need to step into a new level of living where we are not feeling imprisoned by our finances, by the people around us, by our circumstances or our situations. This today is how we take our power back. So, how are you keeping yourself from truly living the freedom that you seek, the freedom that calls to you every day, the ways that you feel, if this thing happened, right? Like if this thing happened, like everybody thinks, okay, if I win the lottery, I'll be truly free and all my problems will go away. And we know that's not true. If you've ever watched the lottery shows, we like watching those shows sometimes, but there's a show out called How the Lottery Changed My Life. And a lot of those stories were actually negative because the people didn't know how to manage the money. They did really silly things and they ended up back in poverty. And the truth and the reality is, yes, you can manifest something like a big, huge sum of money, but it doesn't mean that you're going to keep it if you're not truly in that vibration of abundance. Plus, that money could have been part of an expansion and growth that you needed to realize in this life story, what your soul wanted to experience. We talked about that in my last show. You can go back to the Golden Hours, the last episode. I talked about manifesting that reality that you really want and what happens when you start to realize that you are the biggest conductor of energy in this life, and how you are keeping yourself from conducting the energy that will actually align you with the freedom that you seek. All right, so there are 7 key components to living a more positive experience. So I recently was on a vacation. I went back to my home state of Connecticut with my childhood friend. We've been friends since kindergarten. And we had what I want to call is alchemy. So I'm getting really deep into alchemy, researching alchemy. I'm going to be bringing you guys some amazing stuff about alchemy. And I did do a show a couple of episodes back on the Golden Hour about alchemy, but I'm getting deeper into it because I'm researching it and I'm actually applying it to my life. And I actually believe I was I am an alchemist, but I do believe there was probably something in the past where I was creating through science and chemistry. And alchemy basically is the transference of energy. So it's taking something that's at a low vibration, it's infusing it with a high vibration, and it's changing the actual elements of what it is by doing that. And originally it was taking lead and making it into gold, right? So you take a piece of lead, you transform it into gold by adding high vibrational minerals, and it becomes gold. So in our experience of this vacation, we were in a high vibration every day. We were drinking smoothies. We were cruising around nature. It was beautiful. The weather was incredible. We were laughing all the time. We were sharing all the time. And we were pretty much free to do whatever we wanted to do. So we infused that vacation in freedom. And most of us do have vacations that feel like freedom. We get to choose and do, and maybe you don't. Maybe you have family that obligates you to do different things on vacation. But for the most part, we would ask ourselves every day, what would be the most exciting thing to do next? What would be the most exciting thing to do today? What do we really want? Like, what is our heart's really say that we want to do today. And sometimes it was like, let's go lay on the dock. We were staying in this cute little lake house and we had this beautiful dock and the sun was shining. We're like, let's just go put on our bathing suits, lay on the dock, bring in some sun. And that felt like freedom. That whole trip felt like freedom. And we were having a talk yesterday and she was saying how she's let go of a lot of negative things in her life. And it's been since she got back because she was at that high vibration. So when you put yourself in a high vibration, then the contrast of the stressful life or the stressful people is a lot. Like once you're in a higher vibration, it's like asking gold to go back to lead, right? So you're in this golden situation and then you go back to your life and it's really hard to tolerate those things that are of a low vibration, the people that are complaining, the people that are sucking your energy field, the activities that you're doing that aren't really filling you up. It becomes too much of a contrast. So she was saying how she's let things go. And it's been very interesting because people that were like, firing things at her that were of a low vibration are no longer doing that. And I came back as well and I let some things go too. And since I've let those things go, new things have come into my life, like really cool, amazing new things have come into my life that I'm going to be able to share with you that have allowed me to be in more positivity, have allowed me to let go of some very stressful situations and things that I felt were not really filling me up and bringing me joy. So you can do this. You can absolutely do this. So here are the 7 components. First of all, you have a choice and you have to start recognizing and also exercising your right to have that choice. Now, how do you exercise your right to have a choice? Number 1 is realizing you have a choice over what you're thinking about. So what we focus on expands, right? So if we have a choice over our thoughts, and if you're like, there's no way I have a choice over my thoughts, there's like, right, 70,000 a day coming. How in the world do I choose which ones are there? The amazing thing about this is your thoughts don't manifest. Remember, your emotions are energy in motion. That's what manifests. And it takes a couple of thoughts. It takes a focus, right? 68 seconds, they say, before an emotion is evoked. Once the emotion is evoked, that energy is in motion and it's a little harder to stop. So the greatest thing you can do is have awareness over those thoughts before they get ramped up into emotion. So you have a thought, it's not a good one. Maybe it's full of worry. Maybe it's full of concern. Maybe it's full of, the past regrets. You immediately interrupt that thought. And the best way to do that is, I don't have to think about this right now. And then reach for a higher thought, like what is going well? What do I appreciate? What do I love? Pet your cat, pet your dog, whatever you can do to shift the energy field to get you out of that low vibrational thought will really serve you. Now, in the beginning, if you've never done this before, it's going to take a little while because you've got momentum on those thoughts and your mind has had power over you for a very long time. Meditation is going to be key in that. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit later. All right, let me just throw my banners up here. Okay. Now, another component, first you have a choice. Second, you have awareness, enough awareness over your thoughts that you don't find yourself evoked with an emotion. And then you're like, what am I thinking about? Right? If you can get ahead of that emotion and you can still change it, even if you are feeling yucky, because I've done it and it's like, ooh, this thought, what am I thinking about? It's not making me feel good. Oh, all right, I got to shift, right? I got to go listen to music. I got to go for a walk outside. I've got to reach for a better thought, whatever you can do to shift out of that. Emotional intelligence is number 3. And I did a show a couple of episodes back on emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is one of the things that we start to awaken to when we first begin to realize that we're creators. When we first realize that there are emotions underneath it all that are creating. And if you have trauma, you may be having a lot of trauma response. I want you to see my stars. I'm wearing stars today because it's about freedom. All right. So emotional intelligence is all about taking that power back, recognizing that you have healing to do if you are being triggered. If you feel like your emotions are the ones that are in control, this is the time, baby. This is the time. I have a great book called Mindful Manifestation Secrets Daily Guide and Journal that will help you to connect. Here we go. It's on Amazon. Look it up. This thing is gorgeous. It's a hardcover book. This is like, I'm so freaking proud of this thing. I love it so much. But it's got writing prompts. It's got 100 pages of information, first of all. And then it's got writing prompts, and it will help you to start connecting with intentional living and healing from those wounds, healing from those things that are keeping you in cycles of disrepair, of not feeling good. All right, number 4. You no longer people please and live in obligation. This is a huge one for many of us because of the way we were brought up. You know, we were brought up to please our parents. And if we didn't, and you were a rebel, good for you. But if we did for a long, long time, and we believed that, you know, people pleasing was the way to get love, it will take you a little time to get out of this cycle, because it's a low vibrational cycle. And I believe it's a level of spiritual awakening when you start recognizing that you have your own wants and desires and you start valuing those. So if you're valuing other people's wants and desires over your own, you're still in a people-pleasing mode. And I'm gonna hit on this, and this may offend some of you, and that's never my intention to offend you. So if this doesn't resonate with you, just leave it out. Just leave it out. But this is the thing. We have grown up in these religions, right? Where we have been taught that service is the way. Selfless service is the way. The problem with selfless service is if you are always giving, you end up being empty. You end up being resentful. You end up having no energy left for creation. So pay attention to that, because that is a programming. And I have lived my life in service. So it's not to say that I have not believed this, or I haven't lived this, or that I don't still live it, because I do live my life in service. But I make sure that service is something that feeds me. It brings energy to me and doesn't just pull energy away from me. And that's what these last couple of months have shown me, is the things that are not feeding my soul need to go if I'm going to be this big voice in the world. If I'm going to affect a lot of people, if I'm going to have a global effect on people, I have to pull away from the things that are draining my energy field, because I have to have the most energy possible to get on here and talk to you guys about this deep awakening stuff. All right, number 4. That was number 4. Number 5, you are ready to take full responsibility. I started this show out in helping you to recognize what victimhood is, and that you can no longer live in victimhood and be a reality creator. You cannot create your reality if you are blaming people, if you are in victim mode, and if you are not taking responsibility for your own creation. Every single thing in this world is reflecting to you. Everything that's in your world is reflecting to you how you really feel inside. So if you feel abandoned, if you feel lonely, if you feel disrespected, all of those things are wounds inside of you, and your outside world is reflecting that to you to attempt to get your attention to heal those things. Especially when you have big situations that continue, you have cycles that continue, you have people that cheat on you, you have people that bully you. If you have situations like that, the world is reflecting what you have going on inside. It's always all triggered emotion, and all situations that trigger your emotions, those negative emotions, are an invitation for you to heal. To look at something, to go, why do I feel this way? Where did it come from? And as soon as we see it, this is the same thing with fear or anxiety. As soon as we see it, as soon as we connect with what it is, it becomes not real anymore, because we've connected with it, we've exposed it. And anything in the light cannot live in the darkness. So we no longer become these unaware beings. We become very aware. And then we're able to change these cycles. It's the best way to change a cycle, is to heal. Number 6, you feel in your power. So have you ever felt in a moment in your life where you feel incredibly low, like low self-esteem, you just feel like life is beating you up, like you feel like you can't do anything, you just feel very powerless against your situation. Just think about that for a second if you have situations like that. I have definitely had situations like that in the past, and a lot of it had to do with well, it had to do with family obligations for sure. That was probably the most imprisoned I ever felt, was when I was in a family situation that was sucking the life out of me, and I had to do something very drastic and traumatic to change that, and I had to free myself from it. And it was probably the hardest thing that I've ever done, was to stand up against a situation that was not feeding my soul, that I knew I couldn't continue, and I couldn't continue to expose my family to, because I had to break some generational cycles. So that was probably the biggest one. Next to that would be the financial stuff we've been through. Extreme financial struggle where you feel so imprisoned by your situation that you can't even breathe. I would wake up every day and just feel like there wasn't enough air in the world. So if you've ever experienced that, God bless you, because it's what warriors are made of. I'm telling you, when you feel like you don't have enough money for your bills or for food for your family, it calls something through you. It calls you to your power in a way that you will never experience it in any other way. It's like a mother lifting a car off of their child. That's the kind of energy. You know those stories, and you're like, how does that even happen? Like, how can that? Because you literally get in such an empowered state, because nothing matters but getting that car off that baby, that you don't even think about it. You don't even consider that you might not be able to do it. And those were the situations that our financial struggle brought out in both of us, was that we had to get in some sort of action. We had to stand up against this. We were better than this. We knew that our situation was not who we were, but coming out of it was what was going to create the real truest nature of who we really are, which is powerful creators. And I've been through that a couple of times. And probably the third time that we went through it, we were awake and aware, super awake, super aware. And so we navigated it differently, and we came out of it sooner, because we weren't so stuck in the fear and the anxiety and the powerlessness. But we decided we were going to be empowered by this situation, not powerless. We decided to ask the questions of what can we do versus we can't do anything about this. You can always do something about your situation. You always have a choice, and there is always a solution. It is the way the universe works. All right. Oh, so in that powerlessness, have you had situations where you have been bullied? Bullied by others, bullied by yourself, bullied by your circumstances, or bullied by your beliefs? So have you had situations where you have been bullied in the past? I do. I have a lot of bullying situations in my past, with family members, with people at school. And I remember those really strong feelings of fear, powerlessness. And the funny thing about bullies is, we just had a situation here in my neighborhood of a bullying situation. And I was not involved in it, but I was kind of on the outskirts of it, where I'm friends with the person who was being bullied. And the really interesting thing about it was, like, really toxic stuff, where we were like, there were things, marketing flyers in our mailboxes about our neighbor and all the awful things that she's done. And it was about being on the board and all the HOA stuff. And we don't really get involved in that. But the interesting thing was, she stood up. Like, she had been taking this bullying situation for probably over a year, maybe more. And she finally stood up, and she wrote a very solid and powerful letter to all of us. And because she did that, the bully laid down. He ran away. He retreated from all the things that he was trying to create for her. So I texted her and I said, good for you. Good for standing up for yourself. But that's the truth about bullies. The second you get in your power, the second you stand up to them, the second you say enough is enough, they retreat, because a bully is reflecting your low self-esteem and your low self-confidence within. Your feelings, your self-critical feelings about yourself is what a bully is reflecting to you. So if you have children that are being bullied, this has happened lots of times to lots of my children. If you are having children that are being bullied, you have to help them get into their power. It's not about making the other kid suffer. It's not about getting the other kid in trouble, because that usually causes more trouble, right? I remember I didn't want my mom to do anything. I was bullied so bad from middle school to high school. For 2 years, I was bullied by a group of girls. Some boy had told them that I called them a name, and this group of girls bullied me so hard, just so hard. Like I was terrified to go to school, to the point where if I wore things that were kind of out of the box for myself, I used to do that sometimes, they would make fun of me so bad that I started to shrink. Like I started to dim my light. So the funny thing about that, like when I think back to it, like the girls that were bullying me, I probably could have taken them. Like I had a little bit of anger inside of me from all the bullying situations I had, a bullying situation at home, that I probably could have taken them. But we're in so much fear that we don't believe in ourselves. So through the course of those few years and then stepping into high school, I actually had an amazing person who's still in my life on Facebook, who was my brother's girlfriend at the time. And as soon as I got to high school and she heard that people were trying to bully me, she came to my defense. And she was like, if anybody touches her, you're done. And that was the end of my bullying situation. Now, did I clear up that bullying within me? I don't know. It was a couple of years of even my family stuff where I was still getting bullied. Coming out of that, after those situations, I can't even think of a bullying situation after that. So after I was like 14, 15, 16, and I started to be more in like knowing who I was, and I had an incredible husband who was always defending me at a very young age, I didn't really have that anymore. So I started to really heal that. And now I am never bullied. Never, no one will ever bully me, because first of all, I don't put that energy out into the world. Like I don't have those wounds to be reflected to me. So pay attention to that. And if you have kids, please empower them. Please help them to know who they are. Please help them to awaken to this sense of power and say, you can't bully me. You can't bully me. I will not be bullied. That is the energy that we have to come from if we no longer want to be bullied by anyone. All right. So anytime you don't feel that you are at choice, you are imprisoning yourself. So anytime you're like, you have a situation and you're like, I have to be in this situation, I have no choice, you are literally imprisoning yourself and you are cutting yourself off. Think about conduction of energy. You are cutting yourself off from the energy that could create something new. There's always a choice. I have to keep saying that. There's always a choice, no matter what your situation is, whether you're taking care of elderly parents, whether you're taking care of little kids, whether you're in a life-sucking job, whatever it is, there's always a choice. And the choice begins with you. The choice begins in here. Like, oh, okay, so you have an elderly parent and nobody else is there to take care of them. That feels like imprisonment, right? How can we do this differently? How can I feel better about this situation? You have little kids, man. They're going to be in your house probably for maybe 18, maybe 30 years. No, I'm just kidding. They're going to be with you. I mean, they're going to be in your life for a long, long time, right? So how do I create my situation differently? How can I do things that make me feel less imprisoned to this? That was probably another really intense feeling of not being free, was when I had little kids. I have two that are 30 and 29 right now, and two that are 21 and 19, and they're all girls. And so we had teenagers and toddlers at the same time. When my oldest daughter was 10 and my second daughter was 9, we had our third. And then 2 years later, we had our fourth. So crazy. Yeah, crazy time of feeling imprisoned. I wish I knew this stuff then, but no regrets. The fact of the matter is, when you are going through it with little beings and you often feel like those little beings are in control, get out of the power struggle. First of all, if you're in a power struggle with your children, if you're in a power struggle with your spouse, get out of those energies, because Someone always has to lose in a power struggle, and you don't want to put your kids in a losing state all the time because that doesn't build their self-esteem or their self-confidence. You don't want to be in a power struggle with your spouse because someone will always lose, especially if it's about parenting. If you are different in your parenting styles, you have to find a way to come together and do that. So, in being in your power and getting everybody else empowered instead of disempowering them, it's about communication and choice, realizing that everyone has a choice and everyone has a preference. These little kids have preferences, and their preferences don't always match with our preferences. So, there's got to be a level of communication and a level of compromise that will help your house to run more smoothly. Most of you believe that it's just easier to stay in prison, right? Like, I have this parent, I have to take care of them. This was a big one. We went through this for a little while with my father-in-law, who has since passed on, where he was staying with us, and every day I woke up and I didn't feel free. I also had another boy living with me for a couple of months who was addicted to drugs that I did not know when I invited him to stay with us. And so I would wake up in prison by that. So those feelings, right? Those feelings, if you could think of like a trampoline, right? Like when you go on a trampoline, the lower you go on the trampoline, the higher you go after, right? Like after you go down, you come up even higher. So those feelings of powerlessness in both of those situations and all the situations in my life and in yours are going to help propel you because it's the contrast, right? It's the challenge that's going to help you to empower yourself to step into your power. That's what it's all about. That's what the bullying situations are about. If you're having a problem with your kids, and that is helping them to realize who they are and stand up against any power that's trying to take them over. Okay. So these are all ways that I have felt imprisoned, and maybe you can relate to some of these. I thought I would share some of my own stuff today, like I always do. So family obligations, that was a big one. Family obligations. So the reality is, in family, our biological families, we chose our biological families. And in all the craziness and all the dysfunction and all the things that you have experienced in that biological family have allowed you to become more. Now, I took a step out. It doesn't mean you should do that. It doesn't mean that's the best path. It doesn't mean that I chose the best path. But the reality is I did what I had to do at the time to create empowerment. So do whatever you have to do to be empowered in those situations, to find some sort of power in those situations, whether you put a stop to things that are sucking you dry, put an end to the toxicity in life, just getting less and less tolerant over those things that you don't want in your experience any longer. Overgiving. Yeah. So, anytime that we're overgiving, it's, first of all, it's our fault, right? Like, we're trying to get love. We're trying to get people to like us. We're trying to make everybody happy. And all of those energies do not actually create that. They actually create less than that because you're doing something to try to get something. Boundaries. Having no boundaries is a big one. Okay. Because people will absolutely take from you as much as you're going to give, and they will walk all over you if you allow them to. If you lay down, they're walking all over you. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they have ill intentions. It just means that you have not valued yourself enough to put boundaries in place so that people don't suck the life out of you. So having no boundaries is a big one. Feeling trapped in motherhood, I told you that. Feeling imprisoned by finances. I talked about that. I think that's a big one. I think there's a really big energy in our world that there's not enough, that we don't have enough, that we aren't enough. There's big energies in the world. We're told this all the time. I mean, not to get political, but our government doesn't even have enough money to pay our bills every month. Like, literally, the messages that are coming across is there is not enough. And when you start to tune into abundance and you stop believing that, and you start believing in your power to create abundance, you're going to see something very different. I see abundance everywhere. I see people in abundance. I see situations in abundance. I see I see incredible stuff because I believe in that. That's what I believe in. And because I believe in it, it's what I create. There's always enough. There is always more than enough, should be your mantra. How did we take our power back in our finances? So the third time that we went through this, the second time that we went through this actually is really, we did everything we possibly could. We did whatever it took to create those finances, and we manifested crazy stuff at that time in our lives. Strong desire will bring strong manifestations. And it was the beginning of our journey into universal law, into understanding universal law. And in the beginning of your journey, you will manifest stuff like crazy. It's like the universe goes, oh, finally, they're awake. We can do this. And all the stuff that you've been wanting starts to come in, and miracles start happening everywhere. And I believe it was at a time in our lives when we needed it the most. So thank you. Thank you, God, source, universe. So in that, if you are feeling like there's never enough and you're seeing evidence of that in your life, you have to start feeling a little better. And we were told early on, you got to take your eyes off the money. Actually, we were told the second time, you got to take your eyes off the money. You got to start living in abundance. You got to start looking for evidence of abundance. Even if you don't have it, even if your bank account is negative, look for ways the universe is showing you abundance. We have abundance of love. We have abundance of family. We have abundance of sunshine. We have abundance of flowers. Start tuning into what feels good in your environment and less about that money, because it's so funny. Money isn't real, but we put a lot of weight on it, right? We live our whole lives chasing that paycheck, chasing that money. So how do we feel better? How do we feel relief in this moment? Was a big one that got us by. And then the last time we did it was when we moved to California, and we were kind of rebuilding our lives. And we literally did whatever it takes. Like, we got in massive amounts of action, started believing in ourselves, started putting things out there, started trusting in the universal field. I started stepping into my gifts more and more and more. And not to say that I had to do it out of, not having a choice, but honestly, there was no choice. We had burned the boat, so we had to keep going. Every one of these. Oh, okay. Here's one. I'll go back to that. Imprisoned by my body. How many of you have been imprisoned by a body that you feel like you can't change? I can't lose weight. I have no energy, all those things that we do to our bodies where we're not happy with the body that we're in. I have imprisoned myself in a body that I don't like so many times. It's now intolerable. It's now absolutely intolerable. So recently, I went through a little back issue. And when your back is out, your stomach kind of protrudes. It's so weird. Like, your whole body takes on like a whole new shape. And so, I've done program after program after program. And recently I realized, what's the next thing? I realized that the programs aren't the problem. The problem is sticking with them and, getting bored. So it's okay that I switch from thing to thing, because I like that. That keeps me engaged. It keeps me excited. It keeps me going towards the next thing. So I just recently decided, because, there is this belief at 50 years old, you're going through that menopause thing. And there is this belief that you can't lose weight, and it's really hard. And of course, like, my Instagram feeds and my Facebook feeds are all about this, right? So I recently decided, okay, what can I do at this point in my life that's going to instill the healthy, fit, strong person that I always say that I am, that I intend to be? So I started walking 10,000 steps a day. It's like an hour and a half. I usually go out in the morning. I get it done before 8 o'clock in the morning, and I weight train because I want to keep the muscle on my body. I want to keep strong. So I don't feel imprisoned by a body anymore. I feel very empowered by what I'm doing. And I feel as though, and I'm eating really healthy. I'm doing the high vibrational thing with food. And so I feel like I've taken my power back on that front. So are you imprisoned by your body? What are you doing to make you feel imprisoned? Are you eating for your emotions? Are you not moving enough? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not moving, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. I see so many people that are overweight, and then they have to have knee surgery, and then that knee surgery turns into something else, and then they never actually get well. So don't wait until you're sick to take your power back with your body. Start walking. Walking is one of the best ways to get fit. If you walk in nature, it's one of the best ways to restore your well-being. Okay, imprisoned by your thoughts. Are you imprisoned by worry, judgments, past, your wounds? Where are you doing this in your thoughts? Where are you imprisoning yourself in your thoughts? Just remember, everything is subject to our perceptions and our beliefs about it. So are we dragging the past, and are we making the past the present by saying, oh, well, that happened to me before, so it's going to happen to me again? Are we bringing all of our judgments where we don't really consider other options? You're kind of closed down to what you've experienced before. Are you just living in worry all the time, concerned? They say worry is like praying for what you don't want, because think about signals, right? We talk about signals, like what you're sending out is a signal to the universe to bring things back to you. What do you think that worry does? That worry creates a whole bunch of mucky energy in your field and actually brings whatever you're worried about to you. I was worried that was going to happen. Well, that's why it happened. You're actually creating it. We become imprisoned when we only think in one level of thinking, right? When we get shut down and we live in this little box of thought and we don't actually get outside that little box. So survival mode, anytime you're in survival mode where you feel like your survival is being threatened. Desperation, kind of the same thing as survival mode, but desperation is like, oh, I have to push it into place. I gotta go out there, and it's really a miserable state to live in. Worry, guilt, anything that moves you from guilt is going to give you more reasons to feel guilty. Trust me. Fear, anxiety. Remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. Anxiety so the energy of anxiety and excitement are the same. It's just what the filter that you throw them through. So it's what you believe about that anxiety that actually makes it more. So if you turn and you say, okay, I'm feeling anxious. Why am I anxious? And you connect with those feelings and where is it in my body? How do I turn this into excitement? You would actually start to connect with the neural pathways and thoughts that would bring excitement. Obligation. We become imprisoned when we think there is no other way. There's always a way. Even if you're taking care of an elderly parent or little kids, there is a choice in the way you're thinking about it. There's a choice in the way you are creating about it. And solutions are coming. Like the law of perpetual transmutation of energy says everything is always changing. So you can't stay stuck for very long. And if you have been stuck for a long time, it's because you've been conducting the same thoughts and energy towards this thing for as long as you've been stuck. All right, so let's break free. Freedom. What's freedom mean to you? What does freedom mean to you? Like I said in the beginning, people want to win the lottery because they think they're going to be free. But the truth is you're just going to have a lot more decisions to make, and you may end up back where you were because you didn't actually activate the energy of abundance. Freedom, what true freedom is freedom from those things that make you feel imprisoned. It's freedom from the thoughts and the beliefs that keep you in a box. So, of course, my very first tip is going to be meditation. So I have a little meditation teaching on my website that will teach you to meditate if you never have before. I'm telling you, number one, meditation is the way to take your power back in your life, because it's going to help you to create space between your mind, that monkey mind that's giving you all those thoughts, and who you really are. So you're going to start to awaken to that sense of self-esteem and self-confidence. So grab that meditation teaching if you're not. If you're not interested in the teaching, that's cool. Like go to YouTube. There's tons of guided meditations. Do one of those. Help yourself to get into that alpha state where everything is created from. That's a big piece of this. Ask, how can you? So anytime you feel like you can't do something and you don't have a choice, start asking, how can you? Because that activates energy. That actually invites in co-creative, universal, God source. It invites it in because you're like, okay, I'm looking for a solution. I'm looking for a new way. Set strong intentions. When we intend for our life, we create our life. So I intend for this to happen. I am strong in what I am deciding, right? Deciding means you die, right? You die to all other options. And it means that you have a strong form of focus. Many times we have split energy on stuff. We want something, but we're afraid to want it too much because it creates too much misery for us. It's easier to stay safe in the same. But if you really want to become a powerful creator, you have to decide and move towards. Let go of the past. I know this is a big one and it's challenging because we think we are our past. We think that everything that's happened to us up until now is dictating who we are today. And that is absolutely not true. We get to dictate who we are today. We get to decide to let go of that past and create new. This right here, this moment is the past because you've already created it. So the future is actually now. How you feel and how you create starts now. So that's the good news because you can change things in any moment. Look for signs. Look for signs. Look for signs. There's signs in animals. There's signs in license plates. There's signs in numbers. There's signs in people. There are signs around you everywhere, but you have to be awake and aware of them. Following the energy means you don't always have to make decisions like really quickly because often you don't have enough information. So following the energy means I'm watching for when the energy is flowing and I'm going to start moving towards that. Or you're listening to that intuition. My last show was all about making better decisions based on your intuition. So you're listening to that little voice inside of you that's telling you to go here instead of there. Miracles are created when you do this. Activate new things. So if you're always in the mundane of life and you're always like everything is okay, you don't have a very strong conduction. So activate new energy. Do things that scare you. Do things that make you go out of your comfort zone. Do things that activate new neural pathways. I think I shared this on another show. Anything that you can do that connects your mind to your feet or your mind to your hands, right? That hand-eye coordination actually grows your brain. It literally keeps you young. So tennis, pickleball, dancing, I take hip hop sometimes. All of those things are going to activate something new. And especially if you've never done them before, maybe you did them a long time ago, doing those things are so good for you. And you're in more joy. When you're active, you're in more joy. Think outside the box, trust and have faith. That's a big one. Trusting and having faith is a big one. It's also a level of spirituality when you are living in trust and faith. Like, I trust that I have everything I need. I trust that I have more than enough. I trust that this is going to work out for me. Those are very spiritual ways of living. And in that spiritual way of living, you are activating the science. Yeah, you're activating science by living in the faith because you're saying, I know everything's going to work out for me. So boom, that's the signal that you're sending. And then those things working out for you have to be shown. Stop worrying and start creating. Anytime you have a worrisome thought, interrupt it. Interrupt it with the exact opposite of it. So if you're worried about your kids, wrap them in angels. If you're worried about your finances, call in co-creative energy, call in universe, call in God, call in source. And trust that whatever is happening to you right now is part of you being empowered. It's part of you stepping back into the amazing and incredible being that you are so that you can start creating more effectively. Take leaps of faith. I will tell you that taking a huge leap of faith from moving from Connecticut to California has probably grown our faith more exponentially than anything else we've ever done. So if you have a dream on your heart and you want to do it, sometimes you really have to believe it you got to do it first in order to believe in yourself, in order to believe in the powers that be. Interrupt the BS as many times as you can. As many times as you can. Interrupt those worrisome thoughts. Just get out ahead of them and practice the feeling of relief as much as you possibly can. As much as you possibly can, let stuff go. Be in the energy of the present moment. Go outside, look at the sky, take some deep breaths and calm your nervous system. Taking a deep breath, holding really deep, like expanding your diaphragm, expanding your lungs. We don't do this. We shallow breathe, and that's why we're all stressed, and that's why our cortisol levels are out of control. So do yourself a favor, go outside, breathe as deeply as you can, as many times a day. Take those deep breaths, expand the lungs, hold it for a second, and then blow all the air out of your lungs, all the stagnant air, all the past air, everything needs to go. And do that 3 to 5 times, as many times as you can think of it, because what it's going to do, it's going to calm your nervous system. When you calm your nervous system, you actually activate energy that allows you to, hold on one second. I have company and I have 10 more minutes left. Okay. So in that energy field, in the energy field of all that is, activate as many times as you can that calm feeling, that feeling of relaxation. Follow your dreams, people, follow your dreams. Ask for solutions to be shown to you. So see those solutions, activate those solutions, and ask for those solutions. But first, you got to get out of the problem. You got to put the problem away for a little bit. You got to do everything you can, and then you got to put the problem away, and you got to allow some energy in. Visualize and feel into your future. Yeah, visualize and feel into your future. Close your eyes, especially before you go to sleep at night. Close your eyes and see yourself, no matter what it is. If you're on stage, if you're in Greece, if you're here, if you're there, wherever you are, if you're following your dreams and you're moving somewhere different, activate that energy so that you can become more. Start focusing on the good in life, on the really, really good stuff in life, the stuff that allows you to become more. We are as free as we choose to feel in this life, and life is reflecting that all to us. It is allowing us to become that which we seek, that which we all have within us to become more. Practice saying no more to obligations. Practice putting your foot down to those things that are not working anymore. All those things that are sucking your energy field, the people, the substances, the activities, the thoughts, the beliefs, they are all up to you to change. They are all up to you to allow that energy to transfer. You can transfer energy yourself. You can transmute energy yourself by what you are deciding, what you are feeling, and what you are allowing in your life. So my daughter and granddaughter are here, and I'm not feeling like I want to be on the show and wait to say hello to them. So I'm actually going to have them come up in a minute and say hello on the show. I think that would be super fun for you to all meet my granddaughter. So my daughter and my granddaughter live in Arizona. I have one daughter in Connecticut, one in Arizona with my granddaughter. And then we have 2 daughters that live with us. So today, so exciting, we get to be together for the next 5 days. So they just drove in from Arizona and they just got here. And I thought I was going to be able to finish the show before they got here, but here we are. So let's just, before they come up, let's just go back to the things that you can do to start feeling free. Asking yourself, what are those things in my life that I am doing that are imprisoning me? And then start asking. The first step is, of course, start asking, how can I start thinking about this differently? What can I believe that would create this differently? What can I choose in this situation to feel a little relief, to feel a little more free? What can I do today to activate a little more of my freedom? Like, let's say today, and maybe today is a holiday for you. Maybe you're watching this on July 4th, which is our wonderful Independence Day, and you can make yourself a little independent from your work activities or the obligations. So if you are watching this on Independence Day, start asking, like, what can I do today? Like in your everyday, right? I talked about last week, like how Monday has a feeling and how Saturday has a feeling and how my Saturday feels so much freer than my Monday. Well, how do I make Monday feel freer, right? So what I started doing was putting a whole bunch of work in and then freeing up some days for myself, freeing up a couple of hours in the afternoon for myself so I can go to the ocean. My husband and I this week, we went on a date on, what night was that? Wednesday night. We went out on a date and it was so great. One of the great things about it is was so sunny and so beautiful. And we went to one of our favorite restaurants that we haven't been to in a long time because it's usually very crowded on the weekends. So we went during the week and we got a table within 10 minutes. And it just felt so freeing in the middle of the week when we feel imprisoned. That felt so freeing. It felt so incredibly freeing. So, trying to get them up here so you can see how cute she is and how sweet she is. And you can hear a little advice from Kinsley Jane. So, practice your freedom more. Practice your freedom to meditate. Practice your freedom to have choices. Start shaving activities out of your life that don't make you feel free. Social media, I think, is a big one. I think we get very imprisoned by our phones and the dopamine releases that we get from just scrolling. Limit your scroll, honestly, limit your checking of the social media. All of that stuff is just driving the energy of feeling like we don't have a choice. So look at the activities in your life that are keeping you from feeling less than free, because you are free. You are free to choose. You are free to choose your thoughts, your beliefs, your activities, everything you're doing. Hi, here she is. This is Kinsley. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
This is my TV show, The Goldyn Hour, and you get to be on it today. How great. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
How was your drive?
Good.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for people? What makes you feel free?
I don't know anything.
You don't know anything? You know a lot of things. I think you feel free when you're with your family that loves you so much.
Yeah.
Right? We haven't seen each other in so long. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. And where's your mom? Come say hi, Mom. Is she hiding? You're so tan. Come say hi. Yes, I know. Kaylee just drove all the way from Arizona. Kaylee, what makes you feel free?
Ooh, being in California.
We're so happy you're here.
Hi.
I thought I would just say hi to you guys because I have a couple more minutes left.
Okay.
And you are free to eat my food. So they're going to go get a snack. But I'm going to close out the show so I can go spend time with my family. And I'm going to implore you to start doing the things that make you feel more free. If you are interested in listening to the TV show, if you're listening on the podcast today, you can go to the Goldyn Hour. It's actually on my YouTube channel on the live section. So if you haven't been at my YouTube channel, it's at Manifest to Live Life Goldyn on YouTube. Go there, like, share, subscribe. I put extra stuff on there so you don't want to miss that. But on the live section is all my shows. I've done 24. This is my 25th, my 25th episode of the Goldyn Hour show. And I've interviewed some incredible people. I interviewed Robert Radnoti last week. Oh my gosh, yesterday he was on. Thursday, June 29th, he was on. He's incredible. Such a great story. He is a coach with Dr. Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins. He's got a lot of great advice. The show I have coming up on Thursday this week is going to be incredible with Dr. Ben. Dr. Ben is amazing, and he is healing so many people from autoimmune diseases, from different things through nutrition and food and beliefs, and he is just incredible. He had an incredible amount of information. So check out that show on Thursday. You don't want to miss it. Start looking at your lives, you guys. Start seeing where you are keeping yourself from being free, where you are keeping yourself imprisoned. You've got to connect with the energies of freedom in order to promote freedom in your life. We are free as we choose to be. If you want to watch the news and you want to be imprisoned by what they are saying, if you want to be, a prisoner and powerless against our government, if you want to be a prisoner and powerless against a disease, those are all your choices. You get to choose prison or freedom. You get to choose. If you're dealing with an illness, if you're dealing with a disease, if you're dealing with a diagnosis, how do you take your power back? How do you say, that's not me? That's not who I am. That's not what I'm creating. I'm creating health. I'm creating wellness. I'm creating a restored well-being. So take your power back on every single front. If it's finances that are tripping you up and you're feeling imprisoned by that, how do you take your power back there? What else can you do to create a flow of income? You got to start with your feelings first, because that's what activates the energy and giving you new opportunities and possibility for more income, for more flow. Remember, Money is an energy and it flows based on how you're feeling. So connect with that feeling of freedom and you will become more free. Start asking yourself, how can I free myself? How can I free myself is such a powerful statement. All right. I love you guys. I'm so happy that I got to do this show with you. Happy July 4th. Happy Independence Day. We are free as we choose to be. And I hope you all take this message and truly create the freedom that you are so worthy of. Peace.